A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News, live here on News First. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Shahan Rampati and these are your headlines tonight.
President says Batticlaw campus to be brought under the Ministry of Higher Education. Supreme Court issues notice on former Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando and IGP Pujit Jayasundara. Did an error of the Wellampita police result in the release of suspects arrested at the copper factory? Police headquarters launches an investigation. Person arrested for bribing the OIC of the Horapatana police to release a terror suspect.
The Supreme Court today ordered to issue notice on former Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando and Inspector General of Police Pujit Jayasundara to appear in court on the 21st of this month. The order was made after a fundamental rights petition was filed with the Supreme Court, citing they were aware of the April 21st attacks and failed to take action.
The FR petition was filed by Saman Nandana Sirimana from Vellavatta, a father who lost both his children in the suicide bomb attack on the Kochikada church. The petition notes legal action is to be taken against former Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando and the IGP for being aware of the attacks and failing to take action, and they should be punished. The Attorney General's Department today informed court it will not appear on behalf of the former Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando and the IGP Pujit Jayasundara.
President Maithripala Sirisena visited the area in Saindamarudu Kalmune, where an explosive was detonated on the 26th of April.
The president, who met with the state officials of the eastern province, advised them to create confidence and understanding among the general public and cast away all forms of suspicion. A memorial was presented to the president for visiting the area. The president also had a cordial conversation with young men and women in the area.
All of
you have assisted the government against terrorism. All of us use our intelligence, education and our experience before we act. There is a connection between the drug business and terrorism. I said the people found guilty of smuggling drugs will be given death penalty. Also, there was a large number of foreign nationals among the arrested drug smugglers. I have a suspicion that these incidents were connected to the anti-drug campaign launched by us. No matter what obstacles come before us, we will continue the campaign against drugs. The death penalty will be imposed. Also, regarding this university started by Mr. Hizbullah, I saw it being criticized through the media. We will take steps to bring this university under the Ministry of Higher Education as to make it function as a private university according to specific rules and regulations. When a clear decision is taken on what should be taught at this university, what are the subjects, what are the courses, then these allegations will not be made against it.
Several weapons, including swords, were discovered inside a well adjacent to a mosque in close proximity to the Ketharama Stadium in Maligawata, Colombo, earlier today.
Divers of the Harbour Police searched the well during a raid conducted by the Maradana Police based on a tip-off received. "46 brand new swords manufactured in China, 12 second-hand swords, 52 knives, a firearm manufactured overseas and 5 bullets compatible with that firearm were discovered in the 30 feet deep well. Police added that 15 grams of a narcotic substance named ice and 26 CDs which were stored inside a waterproof package were found inside the well. According to police, the swords discovered today are similar to the swords which were discovered at several other mosques that were raided before.
A stock of clothes similar to Air Force uniforms were discovered inside a lorry which was searched at a roadblock in Muthuwadia, Katnayaka.
The search operation was conducted by the Sidua Police and the Air Force. 1,116 uniforms were taken into police custody. During interrogations, the driver of the lorry and his assistant had said that the uniforms were being transported to a garment factory in Valapane. According to police, the driver and his assistant were arrested as they were not in possession of the relevant documents required to transport the stock of clothes. Meanwhile, 28 swords, a Rambo knife and 3 air rifles were handed over to the Sidua police yesterday.
174 detonators were discovered on a plot of land in Moragahena, Horana.
The landowner who found the detonators while he was clearing up the land had notified the police. Police suspect that the detonators had been dumped in the area.
All were detonators. Detonators are used to explode any quantity of explosives, particularly for bombs. Any bomb may include this device. When you supply an electrical shock to this device, the bomb will explode. In addition, detonators are also used for fishing. Detonators together with gelignite sticks are used to kill fish.
An individual was arrested for attempting to bribe the Horopatana police OIC by requesting him to not oppose the bailout of a member of the National Tawhid Jamaat organization.
The suspect was arrested this morning after the OIC informed the officials at the Bribery Commission when the suspect met with him to deliver 250,000 rupees of the promised 500,000 rupee bribe. The arrested suspect has been identified as 28-year-old Mohammed Sipan, a resident of Mukkaravava, Horopatana. According to the police, the suspect is a close relation of Abdul Mashid Muhammad Nias, an active member of the National Tawhid Jamaat, who was arrested in Horopatana on the 28th of April. The suspect was further remanded till the 21st of this month after being produced before the Anuradhapura Chief Magistrate.
The Special Investigation Unit of Police has decided to launch an investigation into the matter where court granted bail to workers of the copper factory in Bellampitia believed to have been used to manufacture the explosives which were used in the April 21st attacks.
Several reports were published claiming that bail has been granted to those suspects as a result of an error committed by the Bellampitia police. Therefore, the Special Investigation Unit has commenced a probe to determine whether such an error or negligence has happened on the part of the Bellampitia police. If it is revealed through this probe that an official attached to the Bellampitia police has committed such an error, we will take stern actions against the said official.
Police stated that 3 people, including the COO of the Palawata sugar factory, are currently being interrogated. The CEO was arrested following a tense situation that arose after he had convened a meeting at the premises of the company for the Muslim employees attached to it.
A group of employees at the sugar factory held a demonstration. The police and the STF inspected the factory as the COO of the factory was considered suspicious. 5 radio transceivers, multiple sets of clothing similar to the attire of security forces, 3 light bars and 3 gloves used by police officers were taken into custody. The sets of clothing discovered also included a shirt with the Ministerial Security Division logo. The COO was taken into police custody. His driver and another employee were also arrested. They are currently held by the Buttala police for further interrogation.
United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has warned of a major global threat from foreign fighters fleeing the defeated Daesh terrorist organization and declared stopping them should be a high global priority. The Secretary-General expressed these views at the launch of the United Nations Countering Terrorist Travel Program.
The launch at UN headquarters in New York comes in the wake of the territorial defeat of the Iraq and Syria-based ISIL terrorist group. Thousands of foreign terrorist fighters are attempting to return home or relocate to safe locations or conflict zones, representing a major threat to international peace and security.
I established the Office of Counterterrorism in 2017 for several fundamental reasons: to help strengthen international counterterrorism cooperation, to expand multilateral networks for sharing information to detect, identify, disrupt and prosecute terrorists, and to ensure that member states most affected by terrorism have the capacity to tackle this evolving threat. The recent despicable attacks in Kenya, New Zealand and Sri Lanka, among others, are tragic reminders of the global reach of the scourge of terrorism. These attacks underscore the need to work closely with partners across the United Nations system and beyond. The United Nations Countering Terrorism Travel Programme we launched today is about helping to meet all these objectives. Over the last 7 years, there has been a dramatic movement of terrorists to and from conflict zones around the world. Just 2 years ago, we estimated that over 40,000 foreign terrorist fighters from more than 110 countries may have traveled to join terrorist groups in the Syrian Arab Republic and Iraq.
Sri Lanka's permanent representative Rohan Pereira also spoke before the gathering.
Sri Lanka, as an immediate priority, will promulgate local legislation which will give effect to relevant UN Security Council resolutions on countering violent extremism and foreign terrorist fighters. In this regard, our mission will shortly seek the kind cooperation of relevant UN counterterrorism bodies and committees seeking expertise and technical assistance as to how best to effectively leverage the UN counterterrorism architecture.
Under the program, the UN is to provide a state-of-the-art software, Go Travel, which is capable of analyzing travel data to help countries track terrorism suspects across the borders. It will be able to cross-check data from advanced passenger information systems used by some government agencies and passenger name records used by airline reservation systems with international databases of terrorists and criminals through an enhanced information exchange.
Sri Lanka is currently holding discussions with all stakeholders regarding the setting up of a regional cooperation center on counterterrorism in Sri Lanka. A scoping study for the project has already been concluded.
Good evening to you. We are joining you with a special Action TV story. We also have Mr. Faraz Shaukat Ali, who is our senior journalist with us in the studio. Faraz, today we are going to speak about two important stories that are happening right now. While the whole country is focused and the attention is on the aftermath of the April 21st attacks, the politicians seem to have been busy, but not for the right reasons. They have been busy to make sure that whatever they stopped before the April 21st incident continues. And we are going to take a look at one such example. For us, we remember the tab computer saga with regard to the school students. Now, initially, when we started reporting on this, we reported that the president too had intervened and put a stop to this tab saga, tab computers being given to school students. Then the president said a pilot project should be carried out to ensure that tablet computers are given to students of state or government schools.
That's right.
That is where it stopped. Now, we know now that cabinet approval had been granted to give away tablet computers to school students. This time it is not for students of state schools, it is for students of the schools that fall under the A-B category. So again, we are now seeing a situation where the project is being carried forward without the consent of the president, maybe without the consent of the president, but with only the approval of the cabinet. Now I'm going to take you through the details here first. For us, now from the time this matter was being reported, we know that there were several allegations raised against this particular project. People spoke about it. We, on our Action TV exposés, brought out details pertaining to this particular incident as well. I have here with me documents to show that initially the company that had bid as the highest bidder was selected in one occasion to provide these tablet computers. On another particular incident, the company which was initially decided to be having a major deviation with regard to the documents that they provided, the second instance when they came and bid for this particular tender to provide tablet computers to school students, this particular company was considered a suitable company. So a lot of these things had happened in the run-up to this cabinet approval being granted yesterday for us.
All rather very odd.
very odd for us, and it keeps on getting better. This particular tablet device that we are going to give to our school students, it's not a new tablet computer, in the sense that it has been, the specifications of this particular tablet computer is 2.5 years old.
And that's a long time for computers.
Absolutely. In 2.5 years, you, a person who is using a tablet or a laptop computer, would understand that when it comes 2.5 years, a lot of things have changed. Technology doesn't stay. So therefore, the laptop or the tablet computer that is being given through the cabinet approval that has been given yesterday is, their specifications are 2.5 years old. Now, for us, from time to time, various people involved in the education sector have come forward and said that a tablet computer cannot be considered a learning tool. To add to this, the Education Ministry has not been able to, up to date, provide an answer as to what the students will be doing after they receive these tablet computers.
And therefore, the software that needs to be designed for the students is still not settled.
Absolutely. Even the curriculum for this purpose has not been set up as of yet, or at least the government, the Education Ministry, has not even been able to come forward and say, this is the plan, this is what we are going to do. Now for us comes the interesting bit. We have a document here where 4 ministers had signed to get the approval for this particular cabinet approval that we saw yesterday. The ministers are Kabir Hashim, Akila Viraj Karyavasam as the Minister of Education, Harin Fernando as the Minister of Digital Infrastructure, I beg your pardon, Telecommunications, and Ajit P. Pereira as the Minister of Digital Infrastructure. So these 4 ministers put forward a cabinet memorandum to get these tab computers to the students. Now with that happening, again, they are asking for more money, approval for more money than the money that was allocated, which was initially 6.2 billion rupees.
Yeah.
They are asking 1.2 billion rupees more through this initiative as well. Again, for us, the number of tablet computers that are given to the students has been reduced to 156,000 tablet computers.
Right.
6.2 billion is the allocated amount. They are asking for 1.2 billion more. Now, with all of this happening, again we have to remind that this was, according to what the President said, had to be a pilot project for state schools. Is that happening? No, it's not happening, because this is going to be a project now for the schools that fall under the A-B category. The number of tablet computers, 156,000 tablet computers. The specification, 2.5 years old. Then again, the curriculum not made. We do not know what these students will be doing with these laptops. Last point. For us, the specification for this particular tablet computer, let's say everything worked out fine. Yeah. Let's say the pricing happened properly, the tender process took place well. Let's for a moment think that all of the transactions pertaining to this particular tablet computer matter happened in the correct way. Now, if that was the case, let's take a look at the tablet computer that is being given to the students. For us, I'm not going to show you the image because the branding will come on screen, which is not fair for the people who manufacture these tablet computers. But if you Google search the particular tablet computer that is being given to the students, that is not being manufactured anymore. The company has stopped manufacturing the tablet computer that we as a government are trying to provide to the students of our school.
So 6.2 billion rupees and another 1.2 billion being spent on some tablet computers that are 2.5 years out of date.
Absolutely, Faraz. You have a story for us from the oil sector.
That's right. And we have to cast our minds back to Hambantota, where the proposal to set up an oil refinery took shape some months ago. Now, recently, in between all that has happened since 21/4, the 21st of April, we now have reports that not one, not two, but 3 cabinet ministers have made their way to Oman, the Sultanate of Oman, to have discussions with the Ministry of Oman's Energy Ministry to pursue this project. Now, there's a slight problem here. When we were initially told about this project, they claimed that 30% of the equity was to do with the not with the Ministry of Oman's oil company. The balance shares was being held by this investor, a newly formed company.
Yes, that was what
with
the government
Singapore
told us.
and so on. That is what the government told us.
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to make here is that the Sri Lankan government had no participation in terms of equity. They had no shares.
Yes.
Therefore, it is highly laughable and unusual that 3 cabinet ministers have gone to Oman. It is as though they are working for this private company. We as the government have no shares in it, and therefore it is highly unusual. It's probably the only time in the world where 3 serving cabinet ministers of an independent government are going to pursue a project for and on behalf of a privately held company.
First, I want to ask you a question there. Initially, as you said, we were told that the government of Oman and the Ministry of Oil of Oman is involved in this.
Yes.
Now, how come there is the BOI release says that there is a private entity also here? So that was not clear to the Republic initially.
It could be the state arm. But we must also bear in mind that from the beginning, we've had confusing and mixed signals coming out of Oman. One official connected to the ministry asked who would be signing the check for $3.85 billion US dollars, 3,850 million US dollars. That was one question they posed. Then we had the Minister of Oil as a guest at the opening ceremony or at the groundbreaking ceremony for the refinery. He was a guest. He didn't say anything much there, apart from being excited about the project.
Yeah.
Now we find that 3 ministers have gone there. So are they trying to procure funds for a project that doesn't appear to have been thought out and planned and strategized properly?
That is the Action TV report for today. It's back to Shaheen and mine at the main desk. Shaheen?
Thank you very much, Chaturang. Well, moving on to more local news. Daily Mirror carried a fact check of the statement made by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghes to Sky News on the 26th of April.
The Daily Mirror, in its publication yesterday, states that in Section 121 of the Penal Code of Sri Lanka, it clearly states that, quote, whoever wages war against the government of any power in alliance or at peace with the Republic shall be punished with imprisonment, end quote. Section 114 also explains that joining an insurrection amounts to waging, aiding and abetting war, which in turn should be read with Section 121 of the Penal Code. The Daily Mirror says the Prime Minister was clear in his interview that despite knowing about the Sri Lankans who left to Syria, joined the Islamic State and took up arms, that it was not possible to arrest them under the Sri Lankan law. Speaking at Parliament today, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghes had this to say.
I would like to refer to an article which appeared, Honourable Speaker, yesterday in the Daily Mirror, saying you can do this with the existing penal code. I would like to remind them that there are ongoing conflicts with competing power centers in Syria. The USA, Russia, Turkey, Iran have all intervened. We also do not want to get drawn into such a situation. Therefore, the defence lawyers can contend that there is no central power authority in Syria and that this provision does not apply to a civil conflict intervened with terrorism. The question is, we talk of a foreign power in alliance with us, and that is the matter that can be questioned in Parliament. But Section 3 of the Counter-Terrorism Bill states intimidating a population. Now you can bring them under that, and Section 2.1 makes it operation. It applies to anyone who has committed this crime outside Sri Lanka. Intimidating the population of Syria or intimidating the population of Libya. Therefore, it's clear that all those who have returned from Syria are within the ambit of the Counter-Terrorism Bill. This provision of the Penal Code was taken from the United Kingdom law, waging war against the Queen or any friendly power. But all those who return from Syria have been taken in under the terrorist laws, not under this. Even those who have returned from Iraq, whose central government is backed by them, has been taken under the terrorism law and certainly not under the existing, the old law.
However, this is what Prime Minister Wickremesinghes told Sky News on the 26th of April.
We knew they went to Syria, they joined the terrorist organ, but in our country to go abroad and return or to take part in a foreign armed uprising is not an offense here.
To join a terrorist, is Islamic State a terrorist group according to...
It's a terrorist group.
And they join this terrorist group?
They join a terrorist group, but we have no laws which enable us to take into custody people who join foreign terrorist groups. We can take those who are in, who belong to terrorist groups operating in Sri Lanka. Whether you go to Syria, whether you join the French Foreign Legion, it's the same.
Foreign Legion is a terrorist organization.
I know, but as far as we are concerned, you go out and take arms. There's no law to prevent you from that, or for us to prosecute. But if you take arms against the Sri Lankan government, the Sri Lankan state, yes. So that's a lacuna in our law.
Following the statement made by the Prime Minister in Parliament, a debate took place regarding the counter-terrorism bill.
At present, wars take place beyond battlefields. For instance, if a terrorist is driving a vehicle and destroys the lives of many individuals, we cannot consider this as a crime under the Motor Vehicle Act. It is an act of terror, and therefore he should be punished for the crime of terrorism. This is why the Counter-Terrorism Act was required. Sri Lankan laws are inadequate to face global terrorism, and this is why the Counter-Terrorism Act was drafted. Certain scholars and lawyers say that the prevailing laws in Sri Lanka are sufficient to combat global terrorism. Those who defined the Counter-Terrorism Act as a relief package provided to terrorists, and those who make false statements to alarm the people are promoting global terrorism. Bringing down KP, LTT's successor to Prabhakaran, to Sri Lanka and providing him with all the comfort is what we call a relief package. There is no relief package for terrorism.
According
to the Act, an individual's opposition against the government will only be limited to thought. The Act derives one's right to even express their thoughts. Our stance is that such a repressive act should not be approved by Parliament. You had never made a statement in Parliament that the law does not include any provisions to apprehend.
I make a request from the Prime Minister. We are completely against this act. I believe that a select committee should be appointed to further discuss this matter.
During the subcommittee meeting yesterday, police officers, CID and TID directors and the Secretary to the Foreign Ministry clearly stated that according to the Attorney General, the Counter-Terrorism Act is not required to eradicate terrorism in the country. This is also stated in the committee report. I am not sure as to how the Secretary to the Foreign Minister was aware of this. This act was drafted with the advice of the Attorney General. Inquire from the Attorney General as well as the CID. The Attorney General can even inquire from the Chief Justice. You can even inquire this from the present Chief Justice. This has been approved by the Supreme Court. You spoke about this Counter-Terrorism Act. When this Counter-Terrorism Act was brought, even we were in the government. But even we were mistaken at the time, because at the time the proposals made by the President had not been included in it. Especially today, if two people fight and one person is killed, the other will be sent to the gallows. But there is no such law for terrorists. The terrorists will be sent to jail for life. That is what the Counter-Terrorism Act says. We are trying to adhere to a standard of democracy not even followed by Donald Trump and Theresa May. We went to do this and now are faced with this situation.
Following are the views expressed by the opposition on the counter-terrorism bill.
Many things that do not fall into the category of terrorism has been included in the Counter-Terrorism Act, and those have been denoted as terrorism. The new counter-terrorism bill has been formed in a way that a protest or an anti-government march can be viewed as an act of terrorism. The Prime Minister reiterates that if the bill is in effect, this would not have happened. The speciality in these sentences in this bill is that the endeavour to turn the protests that take place in this country into acts of terrorism and the endeavour to eradicate media. I think that is how it is written in Prime Minister's script, the act to eradicate explosions and riots. He is merely following his script, but due to following the script, he has forgotten that the second incident, the riots and the destruction, did not take place.
Abolish the Prevention of Terrorism Act, but why are they trying to bring in the Counter-Terrorism Act? This is because the government, including the UNP, is trying to pass the ball to others to rid themselves from taking the responsibility for the April 21st attacks. They are attempting to justify their negligence by claiming that the necessary laws were not in place, and they are trying to deceive the country. Further, they are attempting to shield themselves from the blame to protect their unsuccessful political careers by bringing this Counter-Terrorism Act. However, Ranil Wickremesinghes was not equally interested to bring his friend Arjun Mahendran, who fled the country after looting the central bank, even after 4 years since the incident. He did not take the action to enforce the law according to the findings of the COPE committee report. We condemn this opportunistic attempt to take advantage of this sorrowful situation.
Speaking on our Newsline program today, UPFA MP Shehan Wickremesinghes made the following remarks.
The government brought in the 19th Amendment. The 19th Amendment, as at now, has where we can say the country is at a bottleneck. The government is not stable. The government cannot take any decision. Parliament, people have lost faith in Parliament. But constitutionally, you can't call for an election. So, first of all, with regards to the reforms, the government will have to repeal either the full 19th Amendment or part of the 19th Amendment, specially. We would urge the government specially to remove this term of dissolution. One of the main moves was the 19th Amendment. And what they promised to people was the independent commissions. And they all, and the government said that they will bring in better administration, a transparent administration. But are we having these independent commissions? Can the commissions work independently? Have they been given enough room to work independently? It is very clear the independent commissions are not independent anymore. They are being politicized. The Prime Minister has the direct involvement in these independent commissions.
Of late, several unscrupulous social media postings falsely depicting Shakti News presenters and anchors have been circulating amongst a select few individuals. These attempts to mislead the public and damage Newsfirst on Shakti by spreading fake news appears to be perpetrated by a few individuals who quite possibly are sponsored by those responsible for the carnage caused in Sri Lanka a few weeks ago. Serious allegations of political connivance by certain politicians have been widely leveled on the media. It could be that these politicians are now using their social media networks to muddy the water by sowing dissent and misinformation. And those who spread false news also carrying out the instructions and visions of the same group of people who carried out the attack on the 21st of April. Are they not attempting to mislead the Muslim community of Sri Lanka, many of whom are ardent viewers of Newsfirst's Tamil news broadcast? Are they not attempting to brainwash and challenge the liberal-thinking Muslims with their own perverse version of extremist ideologies? Newsfirst has been and will continue to report accurate and verified news using its many decades of solid experience. Audio clips and video footage that contain inaccurate and unverified material that could incite disharmony among the masses are being shared on social media. In this process, visuals have been illegally obtained from our live broadcast and edited using a different audio file containing false information. In other instances, visuals from international media have been obtained and been edited using audio files that contain false news, thereby attempting to incite racism and obtain short-term benefits at the expense of the general public. In a situation where the general public should be made aware of the situation of the country as it is, without understatements or exaggerations, it is questionable as to who provides support and cooperation to the perpetrators of these heinous acts of spreading rumors, false news, and material that would create disharmony among the general public. The perpetrators who are concealing themselves behind the veil of social media and are carrying out these shameful acts should and will be brought before the law. We would like to reiterate that the genuine and original News First broadcast can be viewed and accessed on our official media platforms as well as on our verified digital media platforms. We stand for the people's right to know, and we stand for the accuracy of our news reports. We report, you decide.
At News First, we'd like to reiterate that all news bulletins broadcast by News First is fact-checked for accuracy, and it reflects the ethos at News First, which is the pursuit of the truth, come what may. It is clear that these people are aiding and abetting terrorism, and some of them may even be responsible for what happened in the past week or so. News First would like to make it absolutely clear that we are committed to the truth and nothing but the truth. And we will pursue all those who choose to imitate us and who copy us for their perverse objectives and ideologies, that we will pursue them to the full extent that the law provides.
Well, we leave you tonight on a very much lighter note. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have named their newborn son Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor.
Yes, I think Prince Harry and Meghan Markle today showed off their little baby boy to the media after Harry announced the arrival of their newborn son, Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor.
Absolutely. And with that, we leave you tonight. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Shayan Jirampati.
And I'm Mahina Bongzo. Good night.